Well, hello, fifth graders. We are on part 3 of our literature anthology story, which is When is a Planet Not a Planet? Unit 5, Week 4, and we are on page 414. So let's just go ahead and dive right in, and let's start at the top. It says Mike. So let's start there. 1, 2, 3. Mike Brown says most of the objects he looks at on his computer screen are not planets. Many are caused by some kind of flaw in the telescope's camera. But every once in a while, an astronomer will get very lucky and something new and exciting will appear. That's how Mike and his team discovered 2003 UB 313, or Xena, as it was nicknamed, on October 21st, 2003. Mike says, the very first time I saw Xena on my screen, I thought there was something wrong. It was too big and too bright. Then I did a calculation of how big it was and how far away it was. Xena is the most distant object ever seen in orbit around the sun. Pluto is 3.6 billion miles away, but Xena is 10 billion miles away and is approximately 400 miles bigger in diameter than Pluto. It takes Xena more than twice as long as Pluto to orbit the sun. Xena was always a nickname. On September 13th, 2006, the newly discovered celestial body officially became Eris. For the Greek goddess of strife and discord, it seems an appropriate name. Since there was a lot of strife and discord surrounding Eris, was it a planet or not? All right, we have the next slide that you should be able to work through. And so you'll be able to compare and contrast Pluto and Xena, and then list some of the things. Here you'll be listing things that are different, and here you'll be listing things that are the same. So when you want to come, you can either come back and do that, or you can pause and do that now. I also have a question for you. So I have a cause and effect relationship. So the astronomers checked, and actually I'm going to ask you that after you read the next page. I think that would be better. We do have a text feature here. We have some photographs. It's showing the telescope and then the 3 men that were the planet finders. And I like this picture of this telescope because it's showing us just how large that telescope is. Okay, let's go ahead and start on 415. What is a planet? So, because scientists always check and recheck their work, Mike Brown and his team of astronomers didn't announce their discovery of Eris until January 5th, 2005, after they had a chance to verify their information. When they revealed their discovery, many people thought the solar system had gained its 10th planet, but others disagreed. Soon an argument was raging among astronomers all over the world, and the argument came down to one question: what exactly is a planet? It seems surprising, but until August 24th, 2006, science had never had a definition of the word planet. Dictionaries had definitions, of course, but most said something similar to a large celestial body that circles around the sun or other star. For a scientist, that definition had problems. For one thing, what is meant by a large body? Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and it is 88,700 miles in diameter, and it is a planet. Pluto is only 1,440 miles in diameter, and at the same time, it was a planet too. The question, what is a planet, needed an answer, and the International Astronomical Union decided to create not one definition, but 3. All right, so I have a question for you. Here is my first question. There was a cause. It said the astronomers checked and rechecked their work. What happened because of that? So go ahead and pause and then click back on play when you want to check your thinking. All right, I found the effect of that cause. So the cause was the astronomers checked and rechecked their thinking. The effect of that was they didn't announce their discovery for 2 years. It took until 2005. I have another cause that I read and came across on that page, and it said scientists had never defined the word planet. So what was the effect of them never defining the word planet? Go ahead and pause it and then click play to check your thinking. All right, I found the effect of scientists had never defined the word planet. As astronomers around the world, they began to argue whether or not Eris was a planet. Okay, let's go ahead and go to 416. All right, the IAU came up with 3 classes of objects that orbit the sun: planets, dwarf planets, and small solar system bodies. The AIU decided that a celestial body is a planet if it, 1, orbits the sun, 2, is round or nearly round because its gravity has pulled it into that shape, or 3, is big enough and has enough gravity to clear the neighborhood around its orbit. The first 2 qualifications for planethood, orbiting the sun and a round shape, are easy to understand. The concept of clearing the neighborhood is a little more difficult. It might help to think of the planets as schoolyard bullies of the solar system. In order to clear the neighborhood, a planet has to be big enough and have enough gravity to get rid of any celestial objects in its way. A large planet might clear its orbit by using its gravity to pull other, smaller objects towards it and destroy them, the way asteroids are destroyed when they hit the Earth. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question here. I just want you to pause and then click play to check your thinking. What do the details in each paragraph on page 416 have in common? So go ahead and pause. All right, I found that the key details all are talking about what the definition of a planet is. My next question for you is, what is the main idea of just this page? Go ahead and click pause and then click play to check your thinking. And I found that the main idea is the IAU made 3 rules used to decide whether a celestial body is a planet. We do have one text feature here, and it is a caption, and then we have an illustration. And this is a cosmic collision. Planets often clear their neighborhood in this manner. All right, we're going to go to page 417, and we're going to start at the top. Okay. Or a planet might clear its orbit by attracting smaller objects toward it, then turning them into moons that remain in orbit around the planet. Sometimes the planet will simply push a smaller body into a completely different orbit and get rid of it that way. So now they've given us 3 ways. It can pull it in and destroy it. It can pull it in and turn it into a moon that's going to orbit it. And then sometimes it pushes that completely away and gets it out of its orbit. But no matter how it does the clearing, according to the IAU definition, a planet must travel in its orbit by itself. The secondary category of planets, called dwarf planets, have the following characteristics. They must orbit the sun, be round, not be a moon or a satellite of another planet. By this definition, Pluto is a dwarf planet. And although Charon, its former moon, is still locked in orbit with Pluto, it is a dwarf planet too. Now they are known as the double planet system. Ceres is a dwarf planet also, and Mike Brown's discovery, Eris, is one as well. They are dwarf planets because they orbit the sun, they are round, and they are not moons of another planet. But they are too small to have enough gravity to clear their neighborhood. Pluto, Charon, Ceres, Eris are all KBOs, orbiting far out in space with other objects in the Kuiper belt. Okay, so a couple things. I'm going to ask myself some questions and I might need to reread. What is the difference between a planet and a dwarf planet? So I'm going to pause, or you're going to pause, and then you can click play to check your thinking. And when I paraphrase that, I come up with a planet orbits the sun, is round or nearly round, and is big enough to clear objects in its path. A dwarf planet is also round and orbits the sun, but it is not as big as a planet, so it doesn't have enough gravity to clear its path. A dwarf planet cannot be a moon or a satellite of another planet. Okay. One other question for you. How does the size and gravity of a planet affect other objects around it? So go ahead and pause and then hit play to check your thinking. So a planet can attract objects to it and destroy them or turn them into moons, or it can push smaller bodies into another orbit. Okay. They do use, when they use that clear the neighborhood, and that is a type of figurative language they're using. What do they mean by that? So who are they comparing that to? What's the author trying to get you to visualize? So go ahead and pause the video again, and then hit play to check your thinking. Okay. So the author is using it, comparing the planets to schoolyard bullies. And then just as other kids either join with the bully or they run away, the smaller objects in a planet's neighborhood, so things around it, will either be drawn to the planet or scattered by its gravity. In other words, a planet's gravitational pull is strong enough to push or pull any objects orbiting nearby. Let's just check your Google slide to see. Okay, so you could answer this one as well. What is the problem with the diction definition of planet? And then why didn't they announce their discovery right away? So we've answered these a little bit, so you should be able to do those. And then let's go ahead and go back to our literature anthology. Okay. We're on page 418. So everything else, asteroids, comets, meteors, are now members of the third class of objects that orbit the sun and are called small solar system bodies. Some astronomers think the definition of a planet will change again in the future. Others think the current definition is a good one and will last. Science is exciting because it is continually changing as new information is discovered. A long time ago, we thought there were 6 planets, then we thought there were 8. For a while, there were 9, then there was back to 8. Then, with Pluto, the number jumped up to 9 again, and now it's back to 8, and that's just in our solar system. All right, let's go ahead and read the last page, 419. We know our sun is not the only star that has planets orbiting around it. New planets are forming around other stars, making new solar systems. There are 200 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone, and there are billions of galaxies full of stars in the universe. As we study those planets and the stars they orbit, we ask questions. Are there other planets like Earth somewhere in the universe? Does life exist on them? We ask questions as we study the planets in our own solar system too. Does life exist on one of them, or even on one of their moons? Did life ever exist on any of them? Is Earth the only planet with life? Are we alone in the universe? In January 2006, NASA launched the New Horizons mission to Pluto. If all goes well, the New Horizons spacecraft will reach Pluto and Charon sometime in the summer of 2015. Then instruments aboard the spaceship will begin to get a close look at these distant worlds. As the information beams back to Earth, scientists here will study it, trying to learn more about the origins of our solar system and what lies at its outer edges. Pluto still has a story to tell. There are questions that need answers, and the answers will come through science. New information is waiting to be discovered. You have one final slide you can answer, and it's why do some astronomers think the definition of a planet will change in the future? So I might need to reread those pages just to see. Okay. Let's see. What do you think will happen if the New Horizons spacecraft reaches Pluto and Charon? Just paraphrase the text to explain the effects. So go ahead and pause and then click play to check your thinking. And I came up with instruments on the spacecraft will be able to get a close look at what's going on with both Pluto and Charon. And one other question, what will happen as scientists receive new data from the spacecraft? So go ahead and pause and then click play to check your answer. They will learn more about how our solar system formed and what is at its outer edges. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our literature anthology story for Unit 5, Week 4, When a Planet is Not a Planet. So remember, you have a couple things to do. You have that Google slide to fill out. You also have the graphic organizer that goes along with this. Plus, we will be discussing this in Zoom, which I look forward to. All right, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to you later.